Welcome to the iPad Possibilities Screencast, episode number 45, Setting Up Home Share on Your iPad. Welcome to today's episode of the Screencast. Before we get started, I'd like to thank you once again for being subscribed and supporting what I do here at tppn.tv and the iPad Possibilities Screencast. So thank you once again for your support, and today's episode is going to be very relevant to you, as this Friday, everybody, not just developers, will be getting iOS 4.3. Now, what does that mean to you? Well, one of the big features is you will now get home sharing on your iPad. Now, home sharing is a mechanism that, a kind of technology that started up with iTunes 10. And when the Apple TV, this new Apple TV, this black one, was introduced, they also introduced this technology, and it's called home sharing. What it enables you to do is stream content from iTunes to another device. So up until now, it's been iTunes to iTunes, iTunes to an Apple TV, or iTunes to the remote app on the iPhone or iPad. Now it can go iTunes to iPad, iTunes to iPhone, iTunes to iPod Touch. So the iPad has been included now in this home sharing technology, and I'm going to demonstrate how you set this up and what this will do for you. So to set this up, simply open your settings app. It's this little icon down here. Looks like little gears. When you're in there, you'll want to find the iPod panel here. So scroll down. It's iPod. So select iPod, and when you select iPod, you'll see this new setting here, and it says home sharing. What you'll want to do is enter your Apple ID along with the password associated with that ID. Now, this ID is used in home sharing, and you set this up on your Mac or Windows machine. So on your Mac or Windows machine, simply enable home sharing. It's different on Mac and Windows, but basically just go in the settings or wherever it is, just set up home sharing on your iTunes computer. Now, once this is set up, as I have already done, open up your iPod app. So you've got your iPod app opened up, and you must be on the same network. So notice I am on Wi-Fi. I'm on the same network as my computer's running iTunes. And you will see now this little library bar right here. This little library bar is a little bit bigger than it would be if the Wi-Fi was turned off. So let me turn off Wi-Fi to show you what it looks like with that off. Just kind of show you the difference here of what it'll look like with home sharing enabled versus not enabled. So Wi-Fi has been turned off. You'll notice that bigger bar there is gone. And we've just got this little tiny bar that is clearly not really tappable like you could with the other bar. So let me turn back on Wi-Fi, and let me go back to the iPod app, and you'll notice it will expand out with this little sharing icon, this home sharing icon. Select this as I'm doing now, and you can see now home sharing. I have three options. I've got my library, which is stored on the iPad itself. I've got the main library here, which I just enabled, and I've got my Timothy Chatton's library, and that one's my laptop library, my smaller library. So this is the huge one, multiple terabytes, so it may take a little bit of time to load. So it is currently loading, and you can see a little status icon there. So with the larger libraries, you can see this little spinning bar of load time. And it can take quite a long time, especially with this library. I believe I have 100 gigabytes of music. I've got, a terabyte plus of videos. So a big library, needless to say. So it is loading that up now. So it's loading that. Let me switch over. Just load up the smaller library. It should be up in just a second here. If it's not all, yeah, so it's trying to load both now. So here's the smaller library that I have, and you can see it's loading up the album artwork. You're able to view it in all the standard ways. So you can view it by song, you can view it by artist, you can view it by album, genre, or composer. So let's load up by album, and let's just load up, Chinatown. So just click on Chinatown. It'll load up your songs there. Let's get this playing here. And you can even exit the app. So let's exit the app. You'll notice it is still playing if you look at the top right there. Just like your native app, you can control it down here, go back to it. In all, realities, it really feels like these songs are stored now on your iPad. It feels like this stuff is localized. It doesn't feel like a streaming thing. It feels real time. It feels interactive. It feels like all this content is stored now on your device, and that's a cool feeling. That is a very cool feeling, because before, with third-party apps like Zumocast, it really did feel like this is not a seamless thing, a perfect thing like it was with this iPod app. So you can switch between the different libraries, pretty easily. As I said, load time is something to consider. Main libraries is quite a bit bigger, so it is trying to load that now. And I guess it kind of cached that loading before that I was doing, and it's kind of almost instantly available now. And I can load up, AI. I can start playing that, and within seconds it'll, start playing. So it's a pretty simple thing with home sharing, and it's a pretty cool technology. Something also that's pretty cool is it'll load up your playlists. So I've got some playlists here of different artists and things like that. I've got one for the theme music I used to intro the show, so I'm able to access that really easily. I've got the Star Trek one, so I've got all these different playlists, and these all come over to the iPad. So that is a very cool feature. So now you may be wondering, what about videos? Are videos left out of the mix? Well, fortunately, they're not left out of the mix with this. So for videos, you just open up the Videos app. Now with the Videos app, you can see I've got movies. These are stored locally on my iPad. I've got TV shows. These are stored on my iPad. With this case, I actually have extras. So extra content, DVD extras that are in the TV show category. And I've got my two different libraries. And these really don't show up too well on the camera capture with it being so dark. But let me try to bring that closer. And it's still not really coming up. So basically, these are the two libraries here. It's got a nice little icon, and it says the name of each library. Let me load up my main library. So you just tap on the main library, and it's pretty instant. See, what happened here is, this is a huge library, but with the iPod loading the library and kind of caching it for me, there is not a whole lot of work that needs to be done in this app. So it is a system-wide loading it appears to be. So these are the different movies I have. One problem you may experience is, the album artwork, it doesn't load the fastest. And I'm hoping iPad 2 may actually fix this with having more caching and things like that. So if we go to the podcast area, we've got some different podcasts there, the Apple Keynote. I've got some screencasts actually in there, so I can actually show you just the speed of what it would be like to launch this up here. So let's hit this. And as you can see, sometimes it takes a bit of time. Hopefully iPad 2 will actually fix some of those laggy bugs. But yeah, so I've got some screencasts here that I've done. And if I hit, let's hit this one here, Air Display, it'll launch it up and start playing the screencast on Air Display. So this was episode 12. And as you can see, instant playback. It feels like these videos are on your iPad, nothing like a remote server. And as you can probably see just in this, the quality is really quite good, really very excellent. And one thing to point out here, with home sharing, even though I've got an Apple TV here, it is not enabled for AirPlay. So that is something kind of interesting to note, that these videos are not AirPlay capable, and the videos also do not keep track of where you last left it. So playback positions are not carried out in this early version of home sharing. Perhaps in the next update to home sharing, they may enable that as well, but currently that is not a feature. So Yeah, I mean, basically home sharing enables you to have endless content, your entire iTunes library right here, something that feels like it's really on your device in a big way. It breaks down all the different areas. So you've got iTunes U, music videos, podcasts, TV shows, and movies. And I mean, it's really fantastic what you can do here as far as just streaming everything. And it makes really those low-end iPads, those 16 gigabyte models, much more useful in the house, because now you get the same experience of having things synced to your device, now localized. I mean, not localized, but the things that were synced to your device now available to you just through streaming, through the home sharing system. And as you can see, just really instant feedback here. So let's kind of wrap this podcast up here, the screencast up. It's pretty simple technology. So once again, just use this settings app and set it up, get iTunes running. So your basic requirements to get this up and running here, you need iOS 4.3, the Gold Master, which ships out on Friday, the day of the iPad's release, March 11th. And you will also need to update your iTunes to version 10.2. If you don't do that, it will give you an error message telling you to update iTunes to 10.2. So that's kind of the steps you need to take. And I forgot to mention, this episode is actually part of the free edition I do monthly. I actually forgot to do one last month, so these first two episodes, the 2 episodes this week are going to go out to everybody as part of the free edition. And I hope you've enjoyed this free preview of what the screencasts are. It's basically a video show that I do twice a week that provides some education as to what you can do with your iPad and some basics, as this one is with home sharing. So if you're not yet a paid member of this screencast, you can sign up today by going to premium.ipadpossibilities.com. That is premium.ipadpossibilities.com and sign up. You can do that. It's done through PayPal. You can cancel at any time, and you'll get 45 backlogged episodes currently, as this one is episode 45. So you'll get a ton of backlogged episodes and just a ton of great content for that very low subscription cost of $5 a month. So check it out at premium.ipadpossibilities.com. For those paid subscribers, thank you so much for helping me continue this podcast and this screencast and support what I do. So I thank you once again. And with that, that'll do it for today's episode of the iPad Possibilities Screencast on tppn.tv. This is Tim. I'll talk to everyone again real soon.